These cushions are great because they have a button in the middle of them, so they're perfect for holding my bowl when I get up and then get back down. So I'm having a cauliflower soup this morning from page 96 of this book, and it's great. That'll balance there. And then I'm going to have a grapefruit for dessert. I hate grapefruit, so it's not much of a dessert for me. It's all healthy, but, and then water to accompany. And my version of this doesn't have any fat. I cooked it in the slow cooker. It's great. So, I mean, other people, they might want to add some extra virgin olive oil just at the top, swirl it in, whatever. Or some diced up avocado, whatever. So I have 7 wide mouth mason jars in a hot bath, and then another 7 ready to go. I made 2 different soups from that cookbook. The other one was the mushroom soup with the shiitake mushrooms. So I tasted it a little bit while I was canning, but I was more into eating this today. So I haven't had my gross juice yet. It's 6:54, and I don't know, I did some things like I put dishes away from the dishwasher, stuff like that, and got my slow cookers emptied out, and that's almost done. But I got 10 hours 56 minutes sleep, so that sure makes up for getting less than 3 hours the night before, and then about, you know, I was running on that for a few days there. But I got a load of stuff done. Like, some days when I'm not sleeping, I get nothing done. You know, it's like, gosh, I'm not getting the sleep. You'd think I'd be getting lots done, but I'm just too drained to do anything. But the weather was awesome for planting, and I got a lot of, well, mostly, I think almost all annuals, but from the garden center, because it was 44 cents per plant, so pretty nice plant for 44 cents, you know. And the thing is about the Justina, you can take them inside. They can be a house plant. They're great. And they are houseplants, so take them in the fall. You can also take in the begonia. The cannas you don't take in. What you do is you pull them up and you take all the potting mixture off your soil and you cut off the tops, and then wherever you've cut, like you find the root of the thing, right? And wherever you have any kind of cuts in that root, then you have to put the sulfur powder on them. And then just stick them in a box between some, well, you could use wood chips if you have wood chips, or you could use newspaper if you have newspaper, or cardboard. You just stick them in between that. So you don't want them touching each other, much like storing, say, your tomatoes or whatever. You don't really want them touching each other. You want them separated. So you just do that with those. And store them in your root cellar. If you are lucky enough to have root cellar. If you don't, then you store them in the corner of James's basement, where he'll never see them. Anyway, so a lot of the annuals I picked up, even the callias, you could bring it in if you wanted to. I don't want to bring that in. It's not very attractive. But you notice with my plantings, well, I'll show you I wanted to do barbecue for James last night, but, because he likes that. But we had a thunderstorm, so I decided, okay, well, I'm making soup. So that was that, right? So it's all good. It blew the heat through the house because it was up there. Our house was around 30 degrees in here, and it's unbearable, really. So we do most of our living outside in the summer because it's just too hot in there. So, but the heat blew out, and I was able to get some cooking done and canning this morning. It's still comfortable temperature in there. And it's supposed to be sort of gloomy today, but as long as it isn't raining in the late afternoon, and it doesn't seem like it will, then it'd be a good time to barbecue. So I might show you the back of the yard then. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, these cannas were so root bound. Like, my fingers were just hurting getting these things apart. Like, sometimes it's easier just to take like a utility knife or something, honestly, and just score down. Because and you're like, what? Cut up the roots? Well, you can't leave them spiraling like that. The plant's not going to do well if you do that. So it's better to slice, make a few slices, than to just leave it spiral. If you can't work it apart with your fingers, and I worked it apart, but that was hard. Anyway, so they weren't happy in their pots. They didn't want to be in there anymore. And there's a lot of browning in the leaves and stuff like that, right? But, so I use them mostly for the planting back there, and with these coleus. And when I picked out the coleus, James was like, oh, wow. He said to me afterwards that he was thinking, Pauline must really be sure of her abilities as a gardener to pull that back, because that looks dead, right? They look totally chlorotic. And, but that's the way these ones are supposed to look. They look terrible. They're not very attractive plant. So there were lots of them at the garden center, so I could use them for a mass planting, right? And I did. And then I had a few extra for the deck, which, whatever, they're here. But they worked really well with the cannas, because the cannas, there's yellowing on the leaf. What am I going to cut the whole yellow? I'm not going to do that, right? So with that, you don't even notice the yellowing on the leaves with the mass planting. Really, it worked out. I just feel like a zombie. I should have done my morning juice. I haven't yet. I'll do it a little later. I'll take my omega-3 and B vitamins and stuff like that now. Like this. Yeah. Oh, I made this differently because not only did I put cauliflower in, but like I was supposed to, but I put sprouted lentils. A lot of them. So, I use a lot of lentils in my soups. I find them easier to work with than beans and peas. I don't like them as much. Right. This cauliflower soup is supposed to be made out of these sprouted whatchamabutt beans. Navy beans. I'd sprouted them and they were okay, but I was too busy gardening and wasn't able to rinse them as much as I would have liked to. I kept forgetting them, and I don't trust them now. So, but I looked over at my sprouted lentils, totally trust them. They never have problems. You sprout lentils, I don't know if anybody out there has ever had problems sprouting lentils, but they always work. Even if you forget to rinse them. They're amazing. Well, you still have to rinse them occasionally. I don't know how often I was remembering to rinse them. Whatever. So, we were supposed to go hiking on Monday. What's it, Wednesday? Yeah. I won't be hiking this week. I'm in way too much pain. But it's just lucky that we'd found these plants on sale. Because they sure make the living space seem so wonderful. And, you know, I was regretting it at first. I'm like, oh, should we be spending money on... But, you know, I picked out ones that I can bring inside or store over the winter if I'm lucky. They don't always live. But so then it's like, well, it's just buying plant material for next year. That's the way I like to think about gardening. I like to think about it as not only what you're growing for this year, but more importantly, what you have ready for later, you know? It's planning ahead. It's all about planning ahead, and it's what I do with the cooking and stuff, too. I make lots and lots of soups and stews and whatever, and sauces and stuff. Can it up. And then when I'm not able to do such things, then I have food. Like I have, well, what is it, 7 servings of cauliflower soup ready to go whenever I am hungry, or James is hungry. And I didn't even really do much of anything. It was pretty much put the ingredients in the food processor and then put them in the pot and cook. Like it just, I cook them in the slow cooker and it has a timer on it, so it just did it overnight. I didn't do anything. I turned the dishwasher on to make sure my jars were sterile and ready to go. And that was that. I went to bed. Almost 11 hours sleep. Awesome. I can't stand this. Grapefruit is so unpleasant. My mom loves them. My ex-boyfriend loved them. Which was actually nice because then we'd have fruit around, right? And I could walk over and smell them. I never had to eat them. And I never did. But now I realize, well, even if I don't like the taste of something, if it's a food, I should be eating. Because I'm a grown-up. And I can just tough it out. But when I was young, I just thought of foods as like equivalent, right? So I think of grapefruit as equivalent to an orange or to a lemon. So if I had a preference for one of the other citrus fruits, and you know which one I do, then I would just aim for that one. But when I was really young, I didn't like any of the citrus fruits, honestly. I like kumquats, okay. And then I just realized that citrus fruits really make a main dish awesome. So whatever you're eating, you can just add lemon to it and it makes it even better. Too dopey to feed myself this morning. I have to change the jars over. I'm spending too much time out here. I kept washing this shirt, it's so wrecked, but, and every time I put it to the laundry, I think, should I wash this really, you know, or should I just cut the buttons off and make something else with the fabric, because it's not a very good shirt anymore. Anyway, that's breakfast.